Which civilization is the oldest in the world? Option A. Egyptian, option B. Mesopotamian, or option C. Indus Valley. The great answer is option B. Mesopotamian. Egypt is also called what? Option A. Gift of Nile, option B. Gift of the world, or option C. Gift of sun. The great answer is Gift of Nile. The potter's wheel was first used in this civilization. Option A. Harappan, option B. Chinese, or option C. Mesopotamian. The great answer is option C. Mesopotamian. The first Olympic Games were held in option A. 776 BC, option B. 745 BC, or option C. 779 BC. The great answer is option A. 776 BC. Who is known as the father of history? Option A. Homer, option B. Herodotus, or option C. Aristophanes. The great answer is option B. Herodotus. The age of Renaissance started in the century. Option A. 16th century, option B. 15th century, or option C. 14th century. The great answer is option A. 16th century. When did the Reformation movement start? Option A. 1516, option B. 1518, or option C. 1517. The great answer is option C. 1517. The Industrial Revolution started in option A. 1716, option B. 1764, or option C. 1762. The great answer is option A. 1760. Where did the Industrial Revolution first start? Option A. Great Britain, option B. Rome, or option C. America. The great answer is option A. Great Britain. Which year did Christopher Columbus discover America? Option A. 1490, option B. 1492, or option C. 1494. The great answer is option B. 1492. The Reformation movement was started by whom? Option A. King Henry VIII, option B. Martin Luther, or option C. John Calvin. The great answer is option B, Martin Luther. When did the Americans gain independence? Option A, 4th July 1773, option B, 4th July 1774, or option C, 4th July 1775. The great answer is option C, 4th July 1775. What is the duration of the French Revolution? Option A, 1788 to 92, option B, 1789 to 99, or option C, 1781 to 1790. The correct answer is 1789 to 99. The 30 Years' War was fought from dash dash to dash dash. Option A, 1618 to 48, option B, 1620 to 40, option C, 1629 to 49. The correct answer is option 1618 to 1648. Whose reign was the king during the French Revolution? Option A, Louis XVI, option B, Louis XB, or option C, Napoleon. The correct answer is option A, Louis XVI. Which treaty acknowledged the independence of America? Option A, Treaty of France, option B, Treaty of America, or option C, Treaty of Paris. The correct answer is option C, Treaty of Paris. The Soviet Union was made up of dash dash republics. Option A, 20, option B, 15, or option C, 17. The correct answer is option B, 15. The unification of Italy happened. Option A, 1848 to 70, option B, 1848 to 71, option C, 1849 to 70. The correct answer is option B, 1848 to 71. Who was the revolutionary behind the unification of Italy? Option A, Giuseppe Garibaldi, option B, Bellissai Orsini, or option C, Victor Emmanuel III. The correct answer is option A, Giuseppe Garibaldi. When did World War One start? Option A, July 28, 1914, option B, July 28, 1915, option C, July 28, 1920. The correct answer is option A, July 28, 1914. World War One ended. Option A, November 10, 1980. Option B, November 11, 1918. Option C, November 11, 1919. The great answer is option B, November 11, 1918. What was the policy used by Bismarck during the unification of Germany? Option A, blood and iron. Option B, blood and sweat. Option C, iron and steel. The great answer is option A, blood and iron. Which nation was standing neutral during the First World War? Option A, Italy. Option B, Germany. Or option C, Norway. The great answer is option C, Norway. When was the Treaty of Versailles imposed upon the nation? Option A, 10 January 1920. Option B, 10 January 1921. Or option C, 11 January 1920. The great answer is option A, 10 January 1920. The Second World War started. Option A, September 1939. Option B, September 1930. Or option C, September 1937. The great answer is option A, September 1939. The first ever president appointed in the United States of America was option A, George Washington. Option B, Abraham Lincoln. Or option C, Thomas Jefferson. The great answer is option A, George Washington. In which year did France dedicate the Statue of Liberty to American independence? Option A, October 28, 1888. Option B, October 28, 1889. Or option C, October 28, 1886. The great answer is October 28, 1886. The Second World War ended. Option A, September 1944. Option B, September 1945. Or option C, September 1943. The great answer is option B, September 1945. When was the start of the Russian Revolution? Option A, 1919. Option B, 1918. Or option C, 1917. The great answer is option C, 1917. Which ideology was being established and popularized during the Russian Revolution? Option A, fascism. Option B, Marxism. Or option C, communism. The great answer is option B, Marxism. Who presided as the king during the Russian Revolution? Option A, Nicholas II. Option B, Alexander III. Or option C, Alexander II. The great answer is option C, Alexander II. When was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic or the Soviet Union born? Option A 1925, option B 1920, or option C 1923. The great answer is option C 1923. When did they dissolve the USSR or the Soviet Union? Option A December 25, 1993, option B December 24, 1990, or option C December 25, 1991. The great answer is December 25, 1991. When did the Republican Revolution of China start? Option A October 1910, option B October 1911, or option C October 1914. The great answer is option B October 1911. Who was the first president of the Republic of China? Option A Sun Yat-sen, or option B Yun Sik Kai, or option C Liu Yanhong. The great answer is option A Sun Yat-sen. Who is known as the founder of modern Turkey? Option A Mustafa Kemal Pasha, or option B Celal Bayar, or option C Samuel Gursel. The great answer is option A Mustafa Kemal Pasha. When was Turkey proclaimed as a republic? Option A October 1929, or option B October 1923, or option C October 1930. The great answer is option B October 1913. What was the ultimate cause of the Second World War One? Option A invasion of Austria, or option B invasion of Poland, or option C invasion of Italy. The great answer is invasion of Poland. Who was the first sailor who discovered Indian through the sea way? Option A Vasco da Gama, or option B Ferdinand Magellan, or option C Marco Polo. The great answer is option A Vasco da Gama. In which year did Christopher Columbus first arrive in the Americas? Option A 1492, option B 1497, or option C 1510. The great answer is option A 1492.